Hello, everyone. This is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, and I want to welcome you to today's show. Now, I want to start out by saying that initially this was a topic that I was not going to discuss because everybody and their uncle in the world is doing videos and podcasts and all this stuff on these people that we're talking about today. But as I talked to my friend Kelly, who I'm going to introduce you to, we started having this major conversation. And I said, we really need to record it because what we're talking about is very important for people who are looking for relationships, for people who are looking to live the best life they want to live. Right. So, as the Silver Fox of Consciousness, my job is looking to help people manifest the life that they want. And I'm going to introduce you to Kelly Garrett. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Garnett, actually.
Garnett. Yep. Why I
Yeah.
say that? Okay, I know better. I
I know.
absolutely do know better.
Yeah.
Well, I just used to just saying Kelly, so
Yeah,
that's
that's
where I
true.
am. So
That's
let me
true.
tell you a little bit about Kelly. She's an awesome woman, and that's from my own personal point of view.
Thank
We
you.
met over a year ago at a event that was like the last live event before the shutdown, and we have been meeting once a week for the last year, helping each other with each other's businesses and having conversations and just manifesting and speaking the things that we want. So Kelly's mission is to create a world full of soulmates. And I like that because so
Thank
many
you.
people meet people and they think they're, oh, I'm in love, I'm this and I'm that. But then after a while, it just disappears. So, as a certified love attraction coach, she has been supporting successful, powerful women and men out there who are looking for a soulmate. She understands the deep desire and the longing for a soulmate relationship. I can relate to that and really wanting in my life to meet someone that we connected on an inner level versus just surface.
Hmm.
So she knows what it takes to stay loyal to yourself as you journey toward that person that is your soulmate. She's dedicated to helping clients embrace love again. And I like the again because many people have had love and then they were disappointed and they just don't want to be bothered or they're afraid to step out there again. So she empowers you with tools to create a powerful and loving relationship with yourself, number one, and with your soulmate. So welcome to the show, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Beverly. I'm so blessed to be here. I'm so excited to have this discussion with you today.
Oh, yes. So the discussion, and it's it is interesting because I'm a Harry and Meghan person. I'm a squatty is what they call it, and I pay a lot of attention to them and what they say and with the latest interview they had with Oprah. It brought out a whole lot of information, and I'm going to get on my phone here because at my age I don't remember everything. But I had to record this one thing because um, it was very important. And and when I heard it during the interview, I said, "Oh my goodness, they are soulmates." And in the what do I want to say? The interview they had um, when they got engaged, BBC, I think it was, and they had this whole interview. And Harry said, yes, the stars were all aligned and everything came into, and he was just saying it's like everything fell into place. That other piece he said during the interview was this. Harry believes that his and Meghan's union is providential. right?
That was it.
That was it. The providential, it was, and as he said it, it was like you manifested each other. You, it was soulmates coming together, right? And so what happens, and let's talk a little bit as we go into this, is that when you meet that soulmate and you are connected to one another, there is very little that can pull you apart, at least in my mind, right?
It's very true.
This the whole idea. I mean, this it's such a mess in my mind, of all that they have gone through and the hate that they've experienced and the vitriol and the lies and the just all these things. With a lesser couple, they would have split up.
100%.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, that was the plan as far as I'm concerned, based on things that I saw, different things that went on. But it's this whole idea that if they weren't connected, she would have left and he would have been stayed, or who knows what would have happened. Also in that interview, he said, at the end of the day, I choose her and she chooses me. What do you think about that statement? I mean, when you're looking at soulmate or meeting someone and having that conversation, what do you think about that statement?
Well, to me, as you said before, it's hard to pull soulmates apart, but it's not impossible.
Right.
And it is a choice. And the situation that the two of them have found themselves in, him leaving his family, his royalty to be with her, and her, as you said, being vilified, and these lies that were created to make her seem like the bad guy all the way around. I mean, with regards to Kate, with regards to Harry, with regards to the whole entire royal family. And so she could have easily, and in the interview, she never once said to Harry, I can't be with you. This is too much. She unfortunately wanted to leave the planet, but she never wanted to leave Harry. And he never wanted to leave her, saying, you know, I can't leave my family. This is, you know, they've been there for me. I have to be there for them. I'm royalty. I have to stay, you know, part of that. Both of them chose this path to be together. So it is absolutely 100% a conscious choice to be in any relationship, but specifically with your soulmate, because things can happen that would tear you apart on the external and also on the internal. If you're not ready for your soulmate, you're not ready for your soulmate, and things can go wrong, but it's very unlikely. And especially if you are committed to choosing them every single day.
And that's what the idea is. She never said, I can't be with you.
Never.
He never said, I'm going to have to let you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are so many people who have been in relationships where the family has just one side, or, you know, I've seen things where the mother-in-law was just hateful to the daughter-in-law, or the, you know, the sister or the brother, or the, and it put a whole lot of pressure on the marriage.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
So what do you think it takes to walk away from your family?
It takes knowing that the person you're with is bringing out the best in you, and you're bringing out the best in them. And what often happens as you're doing your work, your consciousness work, what can happen is the people who aren't rising in their consciousness with you will fall off. So it's very typical that as people keep doing their inner work, that relationships end. Family, friends, I've seen it all. Marriages.
So when you talk about inner work, what do you mean by inner work?
Inner work is committing to being the best version of yourself, releasing that which is not. So anywhere in your life where you feel like you're out of balance, where you're not showing up as your best self, where you're maybe complaining a lot, where you're feeling like a victim, where you're just uncomfortable in life. I mean, life is meant to be celebrated and enjoyed, and it has its challenges, as we know, especially going through this time right now. At the same time, how you relate to the issue is the issue. So if you look at life as hard and challenging, life is going to be hard and challenging. But if you can look at life as beautiful and wonderful and has its challenges, but that you have the ability to find the tools, or you have the tools to move forward in whatever you're facing, then you can experience all the goodness of life. So it's really committing to saying, I don't want to see life through this lens, through negativity, through victim, through it's so hard. I want to see it in a different way. I want to see it with gratitude. I want to see it with ease. I want to see it through that I can face the challenges and get to the other side, whether I'm alone or in a relationship.
In doing that work, and you realize that your friends or your family are still at a lower vibration, right? At a lower level of looking at the world and negativity in their life. And sometimes it's not always negativity, it's just a different view of how you should be. Well, how can you treat your mother this way? I raised you. Why would you take your wife's word over mine? I'm more important to you. I birthed you. I brought you in. I mean, her point of view is that you should honor me, not your wife, right? Or husband, or whatever. And you love this person, but you also love your spouse, and you and your spouse get along so well, and you're connected in your life's work and the things that you want to do. How difficult is it to tell that mother or that father or that relative to go pound salt?
Well, I was raised by a mother who knows that once we turned 18, she was essentially done. That doesn't mean she doesn't give her 2 cents. She is my mother, but she would never want to come in between my relationship because, first of all, she hopes and prays that everything she raised me to be and do, that I'm bringing that into the world now. Mm-hmm. And she knows, I mean, for me, I do aspire to do that every day. So I would think that as a parent, I mean, they have to let you go. They have to cut that cord when you become an adult and have faith that you're going to aspire to be the person they raised you to be, and especially in your relationships. And God willing, they modeled a healthy relationship for you to emulate in your relationship as well.
But if they didn't?
Yeah, that's that can be tough.
And it is tough. And I think I've told my audience this before. I mean, there was a time, my daughter lives with me now. We've been together in this house for quite some time. But there was a time I put her out. Mm. And I had to. And you know, we won't talk about why, but I had to, and she had to stand on her own and get her life together and do the things that she needed to do. And, you know, some people may say, how could you do that? I said, how could I not do that? When you lose trust, when you lose a lot of things, you've got to make a decision on your sanity, and as well as the person you're dealing with, you've got to deal with that. And so it's a hard decision, very hard decision, to let someone go, especially when they're family. So in this case, they walked away. they didn't want to walk away, and there's all kinds of things. But as Harry said on the James Corbin interview, we didn't walk away, we didn't leave, we stepped back, right? And it all had to do with the press and all of that kind of thing. But the other piece of that comes out of, well, how could he lose his duty to Queen and country and all of that? And I go, what was your choice? And he said the choice there too. He said the Crown, the series, lets you know about how people made decisions, that they left their family, they and all for the Crown, right? For duty for the Crown, for the institution. They threw away whatever they had for the Crown versus going with family. And as we see, he said, I'm going with my family, and I'm going to take care of my family.
Well, his great uncle did that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he has someone who left the position of king to be with the American actress wife,
right?
Divorced wife.
And they say, and they're still mad about that today. And I go, why? It's over. He made that choice, right? And Harry's sixth in line. It's not like he's going to be king.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, he has an example of doing that. But going
choosing love, choosing your soulmate versus choosing royalty.
Right. And in their podcast, the end of their Christmas or New Year's podcast, they said, love wins. Love always wins. And which was it's been made in the memes and all the rest of that thing. But let's talk more about doing the work.
Okay.
And doing the work deals with where the other half of our thing is The Bachelor. And his name is Matt. That's all I know, because I don't follow The Bachelor.
I think it's Matt James. If
yes,
I'm not mistaken.
and I said, okay, I've got to watch this thing. So yeah, she made me watch After the Rose or whatever. And now I'm going, maybe I should watch the whole series to find out what was going on here. But in that piece,
it was intense.
It was intense. And you know what? Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to share this screen.
Good evening, Bachelor Nation. My name is Emmanuel Acho. I'm sitting in for Chris Harrison tonight, which already makes this the most shocking after the final rose ever. There's a lot to talk about, especially after racially insensitive images surfaced from Rachel Kirkconnell's past. And we certainly have to address Chris Harrison's defense of insensitivity in his interview with Rachel Lindsay, for which he has since apologized. Now, some of these conversations here tonight might make people a little uncomfortable, and they won't be easy. But my hope is that if we can talk openly and honestly, we can take important steps toward mutual understanding and healing.
So anyway, this whole thing with the Bachelorette and this thing with the woman he chose, her name was Rachael. And so this would have been an interracial couple too, black male, white female. And he, in the end, he chose her. But when did they let it be known about her doing a party that was antebellum?
So I believe was probably a few weeks ago. So at this point, I don't know when the recording ends for the show, but let's say at least a month ago that they probably stopped filming. And in this month or two, they've been together. And then I know that he found out via social media, when people do the digging to find out what people are posting on social media.
That's
warning. Be careful what you post on social media.
This showed up after he had chosen her.
Right. And after they'd already been together
for a while. So this didn't happen during the show. Nobody found this during the show, obviously, or it was the show was recorded. So yeah. So
no, I don't think so.
So we get into the idea of the race relations, the things that have to be taken care of. With Harry and Meghan, I mean, the way they talked, they didn't even think about it.
No.
You know, it wasn't something that, well, for Harry, he probably, okay, I'm bringing this woman home and I'm going to marry her. And the family goes, you going to do what?
Well, and he probably knew there would be some backlash.
Right.
But obviously he didn't care.
No, and he didn't think it would be at the level that it is. And so we bring this up because on The Bachelor, Matt has an issue. And you told me about his issue with his mother, his father, his whole life story. So you want to share some of this backstory with him and what you think about where he is?
So I know that he was raised, he's also mixed. His mother is white and his dad is black. And his father had left, I don't know how old he was, and they lost communication. And he actually, on an episode, confronted him over the phone on the show, which bless his father's heart for taking that on, because that's a lot for a national televised show to be called out on, the mistakes or the choices he made, rather. But his mother is a force in his life. He adores her. He was raised Christian, so he values Christianity and really aspires to live. In fact, the first episode when he came in, the women were all in a room and he said, okay, do you guys mind if we pray before we even start the first cocktail hour that they were going to have together? So he is very much faith-filled. And I know he has a brother. And so I know he, obviously being raised by a white mother, understands what it's like to have the multi race living in one home and then choosing a white woman. She doesn't look white, but nobody's saying any different. She has a very Middle Eastern features to her, but I don't know what her heritage is. But anyway, so when he found this out, obviously he was not happy by the fact that this is portraying a time when slavery was legal and slaves living on plantations.
Right. So it's an antebellum party and everybody gets dressed up in the costumes for that time period. And so what I saw was in her part of the interview on this is that she didn't know. And I go with younger people, really in schools and things, there's very little they teach about that time period. None unless you watch, Gone with the Wind, which she probably didn't, which a lot of other people hadn't. But the idea, and I could very well believe that she had no clue other than this was, they had these balls and they got dressed up in these fancy clothes and they did these kinds of things. It's possible. And some people say, well, how could that be? I said, it's possible because, as she said, she's in this bubble. You're living in this bubble and everybody around you looks a certain way. Everybody around you are going to this one school or going to a different school, or you belong to this sorority or fraternity. And as people call it, you're in this silo. You're in this echo chamber of everybody giving back to you what you're giving out, and nothing is coming in from the outside. Or you're not going and, taking some weird classes in college that teach you feminism or, race or diversity. You're not doing any of those things. And so therefore I could see, shaking us, I could see her being in that bubble.
Yeah. I grew up in a Catholic community. I went to Catholic school for 12 years, and I was a teacher's assistant in college at a public school. And it was my first experience with seeing moderate to severe special needs children. And it was quite jarring, and not because of them, but because I had never been around that group of children before. And I felt so sad that I didn't grow up. I mean, students who go to a public school or get to be around all kinds of walks of life are so blessed. I felt like, wow, what a disservice. I've been in this bubble for so long that I didn't even know how to interact. And I ended up teaching special ed for a number of years and substituting in special ed classrooms. So it became such an eye-opening experience.
But you immersed yourself in it.
I did.
You recognized it, and you were drawn to it.
Yeah.
But even in this case now, that as far as I'm understanding, this is a couple of months after these things happen, and she's still in her bubble, and she's still in her silo from basically what I'm hearing. Right. So how do you, what do I want to say is, you fall in love, or you say you're in love with this Black man, and yet you haven't gone to find out. I mean, it'd be like, go read some books on Martin Luther King or John Lewis, or go find, go find the Selma March, or, she's from the South, so she could easily have gotten some information, or gone and I can go to Amazon. So my grandchildren are mixed. And so their mother got in touch, my son's first wife got in touch with me when the George Ford thing started. What can I get? What books can I do? What should I do? How do I talk to them about this? Those kinds of things, which is what I think Rachel should have been doing.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think about Matt not wanting to even help her with this? What's your thoughts on that?
To me, that's where, she made a comment of, he really taught me what love is, and I just am scared that I won't find love like this again. And first of all, she's 24, so you're going to be fine. And she's stunning. You're going to be fine. Not that that has anything to do with the price of eggs and finding your soulmate, but your soulmate is going to take your hand and walk you through. He might be upset, which he has every right to be. Mm-hmm. He might be disappointed, which he has every right to be. But to abandon her and say, you know what, you need to learn what it's like to be a Black man in America on your own. I can't do that for you. If that were me, I would just feel, I don't know where I would turn.
Me. But then to me, then you didn't really love me.
You said you saw me as your wife and the mother of your children, but you're going to abandon me in this challenging time. I mean, it sucks that it's right out of the gates, but
it's better.
We're supposed to be partners.
Right. So then I think of Harry and Meghan. And Harry looking, and he said this in a different, somewhere else. He was on one of those podcasts, he was doing it, but he said it in the interview. He said, I got to walk a week in my wife's shoes. I got to see with my own eyes what racism and misogyny and all of those things are. And it opened my eyes. And that's why, and I'm piecing things together because it's multiple videos, Zoom calls, but that's why he's they did the thing for the one, not a tabloid, but press. I think it was it Telegraph? No, it wasn't Telegraph. I don't remember which one, but it was for Black History Month in Britain, in the UK, and theirs is in October. And he talked about different things, and they joined with Color of Change, which is an organization, and then they're with I think Stanford University with so he's doing things and he's getting involved.
And you want to talk about growing up in a bubble.
Yes.
I mean, there's no more bigger of a bubble than the royal family.
Right.
So for her to be willing to even take on him with his bubble beyond just race.
Yes.
Was a huge, she knew that was going to come with some baggage.
She knew there was going to be a certain amount of messing with her. Right.
Yeah.
But it went way beyond just messing with her. And I looked at it, and she gave up her career. She gave up her UN thing. She gave up her World Vision. She gave up the TIG. She gave up Instagram, which were making money for her. She gave up everything in her previous life to be with him and to accept him. And she said in the interview, she wrote letters to everyone and said, I'm here. I'm willing to do what you want me to do. She was open to become the person she needed to be.
Yep.
But the doors were closed.
Right? And she said, the first time she met the Queen, they asked, do you know how to curtsy? And she's like, what?
Yeah.
Curtsy?
What's that?
What?
We don't curtsy, right?
So, there was a really great movie about Grace Kelly called Grace of Monaco, where they teach her, I don't know if this is a true story, but they teach her how to be the princess. And, it would have been lovely for someone to take Meghan by the hand and say, let me show you. Fergie would have been the perfect, person to say, let me show you the way so that you can step into this.
So that goes back to teaching.
Yeah.
Which Matt wasn't willing to work with Rachel.
Right.
So in this whole thing with them, did you see a real connection with them or no?
Well, I didn't end up watching after the first 2 episodes, maybe 3. I couldn't keep watching. And so I didn't watch the finale. I know he didn't propose to her. He wasn't ready to, which to me is, I get this is a whole rushed, overwhelming process.
Yes.
And then there was another couple, Claire and I can't think of the gentleman's name, where they got engaged right away and then that broke up and now they're back together. Dale on The Bachelorette. Claire left early, after like 4 episodes and she was done. But I feel like they embraced when he came on the stage. She even like reached out and was stroking his shoulder to help him. He couldn't articulate how he was feeling. She grabbed his hand. He went there too. And then it was really interesting that at the end, when Emmanuel said, would you like to have a final embrace? And Matt, I don't remember what Matt said, but
no, he didn't say anything. He just his head was down and he went into himself.
Yeah, he did make a comment, but
it was, you couldn't understand what it was, but it was mainly, and she was disappointed.
Yeah.
Because she was ready for an embrace. And he was like, I don't even want to
share one final embrace.
I don't know if it'll ever not hurt hearing those things.
Now,
that's what I felt.
Yeah, I did read since that he sees the possibility for forgiveness, reconciliation. I don't know. For me, I thought, what would Jesus do if you're this devout Christian,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus would never turn his back on someone who maybe was an anti-Semite, who found Jesus and thought, wow, this man is incredible. I need to know everything he's teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus would have taken him by
Embraced
the
it.
hand and
Yes.
said, yes, let me
teach you. Yes.
Let me show you the way. So it was really shocking. And that's why that's not a soulmate relationship.
No.
Because your soulmate is not going to abandon you in your time of need, especially when he can be the one to inspire her and educate her on what she needs to know. He's the perfect person.
Yes. But he wasn't ready. He's
No,
got a
he's
lot of work inside of him that, I mean, he's extremely, as Emmanuel was talking to him about, you know, being the first Black bachelor and what it meant to him. And, you know, so many people are looking at you. I think I shared this with you before, because I was at IBM and I was the first female in a job that was all male, you know, and I didn't know that for 3 years after I was in the job, because one of the managers finally told me, you were the very first female ever hired for this job, and corporate was watching you. And it was like, ugh. He said, that's why we didn't tell you, because we knew the amount of pressure. Well, he's got the amount of pressure because he's on TV and millions of people are watching. And he said he had to be a certain way, because in many cases, he's the only man of color that some people have ever seen or heard or had any, you know, I won't say interaction with, but seeing how he is, other than the comedians and, you know, TV personalities and that kind of thing. So he felt a lot of pressure there. But in the end, no, I didn't feel that there was a connection between them, but I didn't feel there was a really deep connection, because when you make that deep connection, you don't go. Yes. You know, I think, so I go back to Harry and Meghan. Harry said the second night, the second date, right? You know, the first conversation, or when he met her, he said, I got to up my game, because he already knew, you know, what and we had a conversation about it. I said, you know, he was meeting all these women who were aspiring to be a princess, or they were looking at the royal family and living in castles and having dinners and wearing tiaras and oh, I'm the Earl's daughter, or I'm the Duke's daughter. And so he's been dealing with the aristocracy kind of, and the classism that's there. And basically, based on what I've heard on some other conversations, he was tired of that. Right. And the other piece of that is he needed somebody that could handle the cameras, you know, and the paparazzi and you know, all the cameras and all that. Well, hey, Meghan's watched the red carpet 50 million times, or she stops for photos when fans would be with her. So he saw this, and it's like, she checked all the boxes that I needed, right?
And I think too, as you're saying, he was tired of all of the women that were in the same class as him.
Right.
Clearly, much like his mother, who was such an incredible woman who wanted to save the planet and did everything she could to support all the people she could. And I assume he must have that same inner fire.
He does have that inner fire.
And
so I think her work.
Yeah. And I think him meeting these other women who probably weren't on that same path, he knew he needed to be fulfilled in his relationship. And that's part of what I teach my clients is it's not just about being in a relationship. It's about having a purpose, being in the relationship to either bring out the best in each other and be in the world in that space, or to, as Meghan and Harry are doing, go out and make an impact on the planet together. I think he knew this wasn't going to satisfy his soul.
Right. He
So,
needed as soulmates. You know,
yes,
we need a vision. You know, when
yes,
you're together, you need a shared vision, whether that is planning for your family, if you know you're at the age for having babies and you want to have how many kids do you want? I've seen things, and I'm sure you have, where people got married and maybe she didn't want kids, he did, and they never talked about it.
right,
Right.
yes.
And it's like, well,
And they divorced as a
and they
result.
divorce, right? And
Yeah,
then she wants to climb or he wants to climb the corporate ladder, but she just wants to be stay at home, and she don't want to do all that stuff. Or, you know, well, why are
yeah,
you always working so hard? Or there,
yes,
I'm providing. And so those kind of relationships, they do wind up separations, divorce, or just miserable marriages.
right.
And so when looking, and I agree with you, you've got to have a shared vision with each other, because that soulmate piece, what you know, when you two are clicking, it's not about lust. It's not about, you know, just being able to hold each other and go, you know, go to the movies or go, you know, walking or doing what. It's more
Cuddling.
than that. Yes, it's a
Mhm.
whole lot more than that. So what do you recommend? What's you know, your basic recommendation for people when they are in the process of deciding or finding that soulmate?
Well, actually, I'm going to be offering a course about doing a soulmate soul call and getting clear about what it would take to actualize your soulmate or manifest your soulmate. But it's really about loving from the inside out, mating with your own soul first, knowing like really authentically who you are. Now, we're always evolving and changing, and especially if you are doing inner work, you will learn, things will come out, opportunities will present themselves where you'll learn, oh, wow, I didn't know that about myself. Clearly I'm this way, or clearly I don't like this. You know, you'll always be learning and growing. So, but to love from the inside out and not come from a place of neediness, victim, any mindset that's, you know, negative self-talk, the stinking thinking, I call it.
Mm-hmm.
Just to really feel like you're in the best place within yourself. That's when you're the most primed to attract your soulmate. Now, that's not to say that soulmates don't come together even when there are challenges in your own life. You know, that's very much divine timing, because unlike Matt and Rachel, your soulmate can help you move through these things to get to know you even more, to uncover the layers, peel back the onion of who you are. That could be part of your purpose, is to come together to support each other through that and to grow together. But before that happens, if you're still single, it's best to be on the path of any healing, any releasing of a past relationship, or even relationship with family members, parents especially, clearing all that out to be just that open vessel for your soulmate to come in is really crucial.
Wonderful. Now, if someone who wants to contact you, how would they do that? Or what website, or how would they
Yeah.
contact you?
So we'll put the link in the page, but it's kellyangarnett.com, and go on to Eventbrite, and that's where you can sign up for my free upcoming workshop, which will be April 10th.
Okay. And you're on Eventbrite as Kelly Ann?
Yes, Kelly
Okay.
Ann Garnett.
All right. So we'll put that in the description. And, you know, I help people as far as getting clarity in what they want to do and how to manifest things in your life. And if you feel that you have a stumbling block of some kind, I'm the hypnotist person and the meditation person, but I also teach a class on Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's a full 10-week class. We meet weekly and it's recorded. So each week you can, if you can't make the meeting, you can listen in. And I'm also on Eventbrite. So all of that is going to be down in the description. Is there any words of wisdom or anything that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
I think just, remain in the hope of finding the love that you're seeking. If it's been placed in your heart and it's something that you really desire, it will manifest. It will happen. It's just could take some time. It could take some work to get to that relationship, but it will happen for you.
And you have to be open to receive.
Yes.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you for being with us. If you like the show, please make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new, subscribe and hit the bell so that you'll be notified of whenever I decide to upload some kind of interesting video and have a wonderful conversation with you. So, as you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so, and I will see you in the next video.